Testing.
Sam's butt is evolving in size.
It's got a mind of its own.
Hey guys, it's Kanika. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about the stigma of sociopathy and narcissism and coping mechanisms. I'm going to start off with stigma because this is something that all of us face on a pretty incredible level, unfortunately. So when I tell people that I have sociopathy or antisocial personality disorder, I get a mixed response. Some people will be quite fascinated with it. Some will think I'm lying. Some will say that I'm an awful person, and others wonder how I have a partner. All of it not great. I've never had a really positive reaction from somebody unless they've been watching my videos. So if they've primed themselves with my videos, they realize that I'm not, a monster. And it's just really upsetting that this kind of stigma is in place. As you guys know, I do have a fairly public profile. So I do acting, I sing, and I do beauty pageants, particularly Miss Universe, Miss World. With the pageants, there's a clause in all of the contracts that talks about having a good character. Now this means not participating in any pornographic activity, not bringing disrepute to the organization by doing anything too controversial, and not being particularly provocative. Now, antisocial personality is not a good look for the pageants. I'm quite concerned that because of something I cannot change or do anything about, I'm going to be looked upon quite badly. This has been kind of stressing me out because it's just really, really not fair. And there's all these pages on depression, people blog about their anxiety, about even schizophrenia, all these sorts of mental disorders, eating disorders as well, like basically everything except the personality disorders. And they're celebrated for it, which is fantastic. I'm all about talking about mental health and about giving people the opportunity to build a community and discuss their problems and reach some conclusions and solutions. But that's not a possibility for people with ASPD and NPD at the moment. I have been told that it's probably not a good idea to publicly state that I am a sociopath and that I have narcissistic personality disorder because of the connotations that comes with the term, which is really, really disturbing to me. This is something that I've lived with for a while. Obviously, to have ASPD, you must have had conduct disorder, which I did. And since then, I've done everything in my power to be a good person. I'm not doing anything horrible, and it's really not my fault that I have a certain issue, let's say, or a personality disorder in general. And I should be able to talk about it freely. I shouldn't be judged because of a label. This is not fair. It's discriminatory. But I think it's important for me to be out there and to at least help some of you guys, because I know you don't really want to come out of the shadows and admit to people that you have ASPD. So I will take that bullet because somebody has to. And I hope I can create a dialogue where we can talk to neurotypicals and make them realize that we're not aberrations or the kind of creatures that come into your nightmares and make you feel awful. And we're not all serial killers or general tyrants. That's not us, and we've done nothing to really warrant this. People look at maybe 0.01% of our population and smear the rest of us because of their preconceived notions that are pretty much always false. I just wish that we could have this open discussion and that neurotypicals could maybe actually listen to us for once. They pretend to listen, okay? So this is what I get. I've had people ask me about, why I don't yawn when they yawn, and it was some sort of thing about how sociopaths don't mirror your reactions because they don't have an internal need. For me, basically, I can stare at you for as long as I need to. Like, I feel nothing in me to stop looking. I have to remind myself to blink and look away. That's kind of just naturally who I am. So I will hold eye contact for a very, very long time. And some people find this very confronting, or it's considered, a dominant trait. This has come up in conversation. Similarly, I wouldn't mimic your reaction, so I don't have an urge to yawn when you yawn. Whereas neurotypicals, because of their empathy, if you're yawning, it'll cause some sort of contagion. So this person was telling me about this, and I was like, yeah, that's fair enough. And then when he told me that he had a lot of empathy, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Good for you. Excellent. He just thought that people with ASPD, people with NPD, they shouldn't be considered on the same plane as other mental disorders because we're generally bad people and we're out there to manipulate and harm. So that was very upsetting for me, as you can imagine. Another person was the more positive. They're more like, okay, so that explains why you can get to the top of things and backstab people or whatever for political positions. And I'm like, yeah, well, politics, even if you're not a sociopath, which, you know, some of them are not sociopaths, you still need to backstab your fair share of people. So this is not an ASPD thing. And there's that awful stereotype that I must do these things if I have antisocial. It's just been really, really frustrating. I've been trying to get people to watch my videos instead of making snap judgments, because neurotypicals are bad at making snap judgments. It happens a lot. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but it's just really, really upsetting to me that something that is so intrinsic in me and something that's obviously developed as a coping mechanism for abuse and poor treatment or excessive admiration is being held against me when I can't do anything about it. It's just not fair. So we've talked about how other people perceive us, which is generally negatively, but let's talk about how we perceive ourselves and my coping mechanisms. I'm prone to a lot of things. These include rages, chronic boredom, impulses. I get really depressed at times, issues with abandonment and with rejection, and I get very frustrated very quickly. So the way I handle these is pretty complex, but maybe it might work for you. First of all, rages. These I get a lot, and they're pretty bad. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I get really, really angry. I don't know how I could describe it, but it's not pleasant. So the way I kind of deal with rages is that I vent to someone I trust. So it can be either my partner Sam, my friends, my closer friends, and my video editor and best friend Amandine. She kind of handles a lot of my rages herself. I'll go into like intense detail of my anger and who I'm angry at and what I want to do. It's not the most pleasant conversation because when I get into a rage, there's no real talking me down until I kind of calm down myself. I will say some things that could be perceived as disturbing. Obviously, I would never act on them, and I don't think I'm a bad person for having them at all, because the difference is choosing what you do with it. So I choose not to do anything bad. I get bored very, very easily, very quickly, and all the time. So I have this chronic sense of boredom. No matter what I'm doing, I will get fed up and frustrated. I will seek sensation and thrills. This can be really, really bad. What I tend to do is tire myself out. Now for me, this means doing cardio, because I don't like cardio. I will essentially be on a treadmill at the gym, just tiring myself out to the point where I have no energy to be bored anymore, and I just want to like lay down and sleep. That's kind of all I can do. Otherwise, I will explode and do something really bad. I'll spend a lot of money. I will do harmful behavior towards myself, never towards others. And we can't have that. So the best way is just to be too tired to do anything. So physical exercise. Emptiness is a big problem. This I don't really know how to fix. When I feel particularly empty and awful inside, I try to be around people who I trust and love the most, so they kind of give me some sort of meaning in life. It's not a good fix because it doesn't really do anything internally. We've tried to work on this because I just generally feel nothing. It's like this chronic emptiness that doesn't seem to go away. I think socializing has been quite good for that. I read a lot as well at that time, trying to distract myself, because a distraction is better than doing something harmful. In terms of rejection or abandonment, this is just like a narcissistic injury. There's no getting to me at that time. There's nothing you can do. I have had Amandine talk me through an argument, and I had her on the phone at like 3 a.m. I could not see sense. I was on the phone to her, I was talking to my partner, I was talking to my other friends. I couldn't do it. I felt like I was dying because the pain was so acute, and there was really, really nothing I could do. All I did is vent. I vented for hours. I don't know how they handled it, and then I cried a lot, and then I decided to stay in bed and not do anything. It was not a good time for me. There was really nothing I could do except let it go over a week. Another thing that really gets me is restlessness. Again, tiring myself out would be ideal for this. I try and do things that I do enjoy. I will go to an art gallery, go swimming, just get out there and do something to get my mind off things, and I'll try and be productive at that time. I know that music also helps with basically all of these feelings that we have, and I tend to have playlists to get me through a particular mood. So if I'm angry at someone, or if I'm depressed, or if I'm happy, I have different playlists which work me through it. It's not the best solution, it's not the fastest, and it's definitely not a cure-all, but it helps. Anyway, thank you for watching, and please make sure you do like and subscribe, and check out my book Honey Trap, which is now available internationally in ebook form and paperback in Australia and New Zealand.